You think she'll forget you when you stop chasing her, but that's usually the moment she starts to realize what she lost. Maybe this feels familiar. You stop reaching out. You tell yourself you're done chasing her. But deep down, a part of you still wonders if she even noticed. You replay the last conversation in your head, the dry replies, the slow fades, the feeling that you were the only one trying. So you pull back, you stay silent. But that silence, it starts to get heavy. You tell yourself it's about self-respect now and that if she wanted to talk, she would. Still, every time your phone lights up, your heart skips for half a second, hoping it's her. And when it's not, that quiet sting hits again. If this is you, you're not weak. You're just tired of giving energy to someone who never met you halfway. Maybe she said she needed space. Maybe she told you she wasn't ready. But what she didn't tell you is what happens after you stop chasing. Because while you're sitting there wondering if she's already moved on, something unexpected starts to happen in her mind. That silence you left behind starts echoing. She starts noticing what's missing, and not your texts, not your calls, but your presence, the energy she used to take for granted. And while you're trying to forget her, she's quietly beginning to remember you in ways she never did before. So the question is, when you stop chasing her, does she finally lose interest, or does she start to feel what you felt all along? Most men get this part wrong. They think chasing a woman proves how much they care, that effort equals value. But what they don't see is that chasing often comes from fear, the fear of losing her, the fear of not being enough. And fear never builds attraction, it only exposes dependence. See, when you pull back, you're not playing games, you're restoring balance. You're reminding both her and yourself that connection isn't built on pursuit, it's built on respect and polarity. A man grounded in himself doesn't move out of desperation, he moves with purpose. And sometimes that means doing nothing at all. One of the hardest masculine principles to understand is this: your silence has weight. When a man learns to sit in stillness instead of seeking validation, that energy is felt. A woman starts to notice the absence of your attention because it carried certainty, not need. That's what she thinks when you don't chase her. She starts to realize that your focus was never ordinary. It had depth, direction, intention. When you stop chasing, you're not rejecting her. You're respecting yourself. You're saying, I'm willing to lose you, but I'm not willing to lose my center. That calm confidence is what separates boys from men. It's not about ignoring her. It's about choosing yourself first, not out of ego, but out of strength. And here's the paradox most men never understand. The moment you no longer need her to choose you, that's usually when she starts to. She scrolls through her phone, thumb hovering over your name. The chat is quiet, and the same quiet she thought she wanted. For days she told herself she needed space, that you were too much, too available, too eager. But now the silence feels different. It's no longer peace, it's absence. She remembers the way your messages used to show up without fail. The quick how's your day, the effortless humor that always seemed to land when she needed it most. She told herself she was tired of it, tired of the attention. But when it stopped, something inside her started to ache. She checks your story. Nothing. She scrolls again, pretending not to care, but every quiet moment pulls her thoughts back to you. She wonders if you're done trying, if someone else has your focus now. She replays the last time you spoke, how your tone had changed. Calm, distant, not angry, not emotional, just done. And that's what unsettles her. Because you didn't leave with a scene. You left with silence, no chasing, no begging, no explanations, just stillness. Now she's the one scrolling through old photos, remembering how steady your energy felt. She never realized how much security that gave her until it was gone. Your absence became the mirror she didn't expect, showing her what she took for granted. And somewhere between her pride and her confusion, she starts to miss the very thing she once pushed away. That's what she thinks when you don't chase her, not immediately, not all at once, but slowly, when the silence gets too loud and she finally starts to feel what you once did. Most men grow up believing that if they don't chase her, they'll lose her, that if they stop trying, she'll just move on to someone else. But that belief isn't strength, it's fear disguised as effort. Chasing isn't proof of love, it's proof of insecurity. The truth is, when you stop chasing her, you give her the one thing she can't feel when you're always there, the space to miss you. You've been told that the loudest man wins her attention. That constant pursuit keeps the spark alive. But connection doesn't grow under pressure. It grows in space, in contrast, in the moments where she can feel your absence and recognize your value. The man who never stops chasing becomes background noise, predictable, safe, unchallenging. The man who knows when to pull back becomes unforgettable. Here's the first false belief. If I don't chase her, she'll forget me. No, if you don't chase her, she finally gets to see what life feels like without your presence in it. And if your presence was truly grounded and masculine, that silence becomes louder than any text you could send. The second false belief, if she wanted me, she'd show it. Not always. Sometimes she's testing your emotional grounding. Sometimes she's protecting her own ego. But more often than not, she's waiting to feel what happens when you stop proving yourself. Because that's when she learns whether your energy came from need or from power. And the last one, right? Pulling away is manipulation. It's not manipulation when it's truth. You're not punishing her, right? You're centering yourself. You're remembering that attraction isn't about control. It's about polarity. You can't pull her closer until you stop clinging. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. She's not ignoring you. She's feeling the silence you left behind. She doesn't fall for the man who chases. She falls for the man who doesn't need to. When you stop chasing, you don't lose her. You find your balance. And sometimes, that's exactly what makes her see you again. The 1% headman doesn't chase, not because he's playing hard to get, but because he's mastered himself. This is what he understands. Attention is valuable only when it's rare, and presence is powerful only when it's grounded. He knows that chasing isn't leadership, it's reaction. And a man who reacts to her distance loses his own direction. When she pulls away, he doesn't spiral, he breathes. He lets the silence do what it's meant to do, reveal truth. He understands that space isn't rejection, it's a filter. The right woman doesn't disappear when things slow down. She leans in when she feels safe in his stillness. That's why the headman leads with presence, not pressure. He moves through life with calm intent, not emotional panic. He doesn't ask, why isn't she responding? He asks, why am I giving my peace away to someone who hasn't earned it? He knows his worth doesn't need validation, and his attention isn't a reward. It's an extension of his strength. This is how he leads, with quiet certainty. He doesn't chase women, he attracts peace. He doesn't rush connection, he deepens it by being unshakable in who he is. The 1% headman understands that walking away isn't loss, it's leadership. It's choosing to protect your energy even when your ego wants to prove a point. Because when a man learns to stand still in his truth, the world, and often the woman, starts to move toward him. There comes a night when your phone is quiet, and for the first time you don't reach for it. You don't scroll, you don't check her story, you don't wonder if she's thinking about you. You just sit there in the stillness that once felt unbearable, and realize you've finally made peace with it. The silence that used to haunt you has turned into something else. Clarity. You start to see it differently now. All those times you over-explained, overgave, overtried, they weren't acts of love, they were cries for recognition. You were trying to prove your value to someone who could only see it once you stopped trying. And now that you've pulled your energy back, you feel it. That slow return of strength, of power, of presence. It hits you that she was never the source of your peace. You were. She was never the validation. She was the mirror showing how much of yourself you'd forgotten. And as you sit there in that quiet moment, you realize you're not angry anymore. You're not waiting. You're remembering. Because it was never about getting her attention, and it was about getting your center back. The chasing stopped, not because you stopped caring, but because you finally understood that love isn't proven by pursuit. It's proven by alignment. And in that moment, something shifts inside you. The need fades, the confusion clears. You no longer wonder what she's thinking because you're too focused on who you're becoming. The silence that once felt like rejection now feels like respect. Your own, finally returned to you. She notices your absence in ways she never did before. The space you left behind becomes louder than any words, sharper than any message. And while you stopped chasing, you weren't giving up. You were reclaiming yourself. She starts to feel it. The weight of your presence that was always steady, always calm, always grounded. And in that silence, she begins to remember not just you, but the standard you set. Because a man who knows his worth doesn't need to chase. He simply exists, and that alone becomes unforgettable.